Remember when, like, in December, at the end of the year, they put out all the Oscar-worthy films to try and get that last big push in there? I guess people who want to be nominated for the Razzies have started doing it too. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And this is our post-Geekout reaction for, is it Holmes and Watson or Watson and Holmes?
I don't think anyone cares.
It's Holmes and Watson. It was really bold of them to turn a fake movie poster in the background of another movie that was made to be a parody of the kind of terrible films that Hollywood would make into an actual film. Because I remember when I first saw this poster, I was like, that's not real. That is a fake-ass movie. That is a fake movie. Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly teaming back up to play Sherlock Holmes and Watson. That's not actually happening. That is like, that's gonna turn out to be like a parody poster for like some big like crazy film that comes out later on. Like, this is gonna be like a parody poster for Tropic Thunder 2.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah, like that's exactly what this feels like. This feels like Will Ferrell is going to be in Tropic Thunder 2, and this is the fake movie they're going to show at the beginning of it when they show all those other fake movies at the beginning of the first Tropic Thunder. No, this is a real ass movie. And here's the thing. I'm not gonna lie about this. First off, she didn't see this, I saw it. I'm not gonna lie. This may be the worst film I've seen all year. But I'm not mad at it. And honestly, the reason why I'm not mad at it is because of Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. Not because they're good in this film, but because the second that I saw them on that poster, I was like, I know exactly what this is going to be. And I was right. Yeah, man, the entire time I was sitting there, this movie didn't get a single chuckle out of me, and I've seen a lot of bad comedies, especially this year, and they all at least got one out of me. This had nothing, but I wasn't in pain at any moment. I wasn't going, oh my god. And the reason why is because every single horrible joke that was in this film, I was just like, yeah, that's what I expected.
That's what I expected.
Yep, right on time. In fact, this movie is the first Sherlock Holmes film to ever make you, the audience member, feel like Sherlock Holmes yourself, because you will know everything that is about to happen in this movie right before it happens. Like, every single joke in this film, I was like, 5, 4, 3, 2, there we go. Like, there's a moment in here in which they go to the morgue, and Watson is like, Holmes, are you sure you're going to be okay? It's like, no, last time it was just some bad eggs is all that it was. Watson, I'm perfectly fine before that. Well, what about the time before that? Well, the time before that it was just a stomach virus. I'll be totally fine. And I can totally handle seeing a dead body. He's going to throw up in 3, 2. Yep. And every joke in here goes on a minimum, and I mean this literally, every joke in here goes on a minimum of twice as long as it should. And the reason, and here's the thing, many of the jokes go on way longer than twice, but every joke in here goes on for at least twice as long as it should. Because there's so many jokes in here that should only have been a one quick line, just one sentence, that's it, briefly skip over it, don't even acknowledge it at all, maybe the audience will get a chuckle of it. They will turn that into at least 2 lines, many times 3 lines. And so forth, and so forth. And if the joke is an entire scene, oh god, is that going to go on forever. How
long was this movie?
It's only like an hour and a half, and man, it feels padded. It feels like this could easily have been half an hour. I'm not even exaggerating that. It feels like you could easily have scrunched this down to half an hour, and it still would have been good. Like I said, there were no jokes in here that actually made me laugh. This is how bad this movie was. Before this movie came on, there were people sitting behind me in like the last row, and they were being just the most stereotypical, just talking out loud, didn't give a shit about anyone else in the audience, and I didn't care. Like, in any other film, I would have been like, oh god, they're gonna wreck this thing. And this one, I was like, tell you what, if I start actually enjoying this, I'll be mad at them. I'm not enjoying any part of this. I can't really be mad at them. And there was a lady on my aisle who, when the trailers were going, or not even when the trailers were going, like when the movie itself was just starting, like the very first couple frames of it, they were still talking, and she turned around and said, are you guys going to talk throughout the entire movie? I'm just wondering, are you going to talk throughout the entire film? And they and they started talking shit back to her, like, turn around, eat your fucking popcorn. And here's the thing. Normally I would applaud someone who talks back to the people talking in a movie, but she laughed at every joke in this movie, and I was like, I'm more mad at you. Yeah, like, that was more disruptive. It's like, how on earth can you fucking enjoy this? Because, yeah, it's so, like, every joke is so bland and uninteresting in here. Like, nothing is clever at all, and anytime that looks like they could possibly make, like, a clever joke, they just don't. They just leave it there like a dead fish on the screen. There was a joke, sorry, my allergies are going nuts today, so you hear me, like, a lot, that's it. I had to do a whole bunch of cocaine right before I came and saw this movie. It's the only way that I could get through it. That's the one thing I gotta give this movie. They do at least point out that Sherlock Holmes was a drug addict. Like, this is one of the only, like, modern interpretations I've seen of that, but still not, like, interesting in any way. Like, there's things in this film that you look at and it's like, you know, it actually could be kind of good. Like, Sherlock Holmes is actually kind of a bad detective in here. I mean, he's good, but he keeps screwing up because the beginning of this film, he's a little boy getting teased at school, and he eventually decides he's going to abandon all emotions and just focus entirely on facts, and that's why he's such a great detective. Oh, God, I told you it was bad. Okay. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of an interesting idea. But just think, you got Will Ferrell to play him. And I looked at it like, you know what? Will Ferrell being totally robotic, that's something I haven't really seen from him before. It might be kind of fun. Like, he was kind of like that in The Other Guys, which out of all the performances he's done, that's actually, it's not one of my favorite movies of his at all, not even close, but it's one of the more interesting performances he's given, simply because he does have to play it like so over-the-top robotic in that film. So like, okay, well, maybe seeing something a little bit more like that would be interesting. No, man, he is 100% just like exploding with emotions at all times in this movie. And then at the end of this film, which, by the way, normally on the post-Geekout reaction, we wait until after we give our score on the movie to go into a little bit of a spoiler talk. I ain't doing that on this one. We're just going full spoilers because, A, does anyone care? And B, as I said, if you can't tell where this entire movie is going 10 minutes before a scene gets there, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Should you even bother explaining the plot, or?
I don't really think I am going to explain the plot in this one.
Is there a plot?
Moriarty, Sherlock Holmes' greatest enemy, he has escaped to America, and Sherlock Holmes is like, oh, whatever, I don't care, which is weird. Yeah, he's like, oh, that's fine, he'll never darken London's doorstep again. I was like, okay. Seems like an odd thing for Sherlock Holmes to be like, whatever, I just care about London, that's it. If he leaves and gets away scot-free, that's a win for me. So Sherlock Holmes is kind of like, well, now I wonder when a new rival will appear. And then all of a sudden, new murders start appearing all over the city. And then he basically just has to track this person down, and there really isn't anything different or interesting about this until, like, the very end of this film. But as I said, you see it all coming. The only thing that you don't see coming in this film is something that comes out of nowhere. It comes out of nowhere, which is that the end of this film takes place on the Titanic.
Oh?
Yeah, that just comes out of nowhere. Which, again, you want to talk about how this movie just hammers in every single joke until it is dead. The Titanic gag in here. Oh my God.
Like, did Watson and Holmes do the thing on front of the...
No. They do an even weirder reference to that film.
Draw me like one of your French girls.
No. Weirder.
They made out in the car.
Weirder. Again, I'm just spoiling everything in here. What this film is about, basically what all happens towards the end is that Watson wants to be kind of like acknowledged as an equal. He wants to be a co-detective with Sherlock Holmes. And at the end of this film, Holmes is like, okay, who could have who could possibly have been someone that was there at every crime scene?
Oh.
Oh, I didn't even have to explain anything more. You instantly got what was going on. He says it was Watson who did it. And so they arrest Watson, and then Holmes immediately, very next scene goes, what is this tear that's... what is this warm feeling?
What is this feeling? Is this sadness?
Yeah, exactly. That's the entire film was leading up to Holmes regaining his emotions since he was a child. And I was like, dude, you've been played by Will Ferrell. You've been nothing but like anger and joy and everything. Like
everything but sadness. It's literally Disney's Inside Out, where they don't want you to feel sadness, but all the other emotions are okay. Like,
if you mean like he's completely unbalanced, yeah, sure. It is Inside Out. But yeah, so we have this scene of him like getting Watson arrested. Immediately next scene is just, no, Watson, I was a fool to ever think that. And then he goes and he has to go and save Watson, and the real murderer has kidnapped Watson onto the Titanic, and they're going to blow the Titanic up. And then at the end of this, Watson is the one who saves the Queen and saves everyone from the bomb that's on the Titanic. And so Sherlock Holmes comes in and goes, no, everyone, it wasn't me for once. It was Watson. So when you think of the Titanic, I want you to think of Watson. When you think of your family and friends on the Titanic, think of Watson. And it keeps going.
Until they finally hit the iceberg?
No.
Oh, they should have done that. That would have been like the best gag ever.
Oh, what makes you think this movie's going to do the best gags? No,
it would have been the only gag. Like
at the end of this, after that, they all turn around, they go back to London, they get off the boat, and then it's like, yes, don't worry. And they bid farewell to their two love interests, who are just terrible. They're terrible love interests. The one that Holmes is in love with is a woman who was raised by feral cats and doesn't speak English, and she literally just stands there the entire time. And then whenever Holmes comes like, oh, yes, you're quite lovely. It's like, okay. But you're so lovely. And we're like, she'll be eating like a giant lollipop in the background for no reason at all.
Should she be eating a giant mouse or something if she's raised by cats?
It is like her like eating a giant lollipop makes no fucking sense at all in this. But it's like a thing that just keeps happening. But then she's raised by feral cats, and it's like, none of that makes any fucking sense. Like, none of it was thought out. They just
although considering how messed up Holmes is in this movie, a girl raised by feral cats seems to be the only one he can actually fall in love with.
Yes. But like, they both bid farewell to their two love interests, and he's like, don't worry, you're going to go to America on the safest ship ever. It's like, we know what happened on the Titanic, you idiot. Oh my God, this joke is dead. And then after that line, here's the weird reference to that film. He goes, yes. Oh, hey, look, it's Billy Zane. Hi there, Sherlock Holmes. And it's literally just Billy Zane over there as his character from Titanic. They didn't even say his name. They didn't even like say the character's name that he played in Titanic. And it just happened to also be Billy Zane. It's like, oh, that's a cool reference. No, hey, it's Billy Zane. Do you get what happened on the Titanic? Everyone's like, wow, really hitting those hard issues. Like at the height of their cultural relevance. You want to talk about how outdated this movie is? There is a moment in which Watson has to get into a fist fight with someone. And there's this crowd cheering. It's like, what are we going to do, Holmes? It's like, all right, everyone, we're going to have the fight. But you have to pay for it. You have to pay to view the fight. It is a pay-for-view fight. I know that it might seem like a lot, but if you get your buddies together, get some beers and some pizza, make a whole evening out of it, then, it could actually pay out for you, actually be a good time. I'm like, are you making commentary on pay-per-view fights? That hasn't been a thing since the fucking 90s. I remember in the 90s when like sitcoms would be like, oh, pay-per-view fights. That's kind of a weird thing that we now have to pay for, but yes, all right, we'll do something with that. I was like, it's fucking 25 years too late for this joke. And it wasn't even a good joke when it was originally a thing.
Like, I guess they didn't know how to do a Netflix joke or something. Like,
oh my God. Oh my fucking God. Jesus Christ.
So, like, I don't know anything about this movie, so was this supposed to be a comedy? Or
Yes.
okay.
What makes you think it's not?
Because it's Sherlock Holmes, and most Sherlock Holmes movies are supposed to be filled with action and mystery and suspense, but obviously this is not one of those movies.
I literally just told you there is a girl raised by feral cats who just eats a giant lollipop, and you're like, so could this have been That's how unfunny this fucking movie is. Oh my god. Yeah, this movie, it is atrociously bad. But like I said, I'm getting worked up about it here. I felt nothing in the movie. I just sat there just like...
You have become Sherlock Holmes. You feel nothing.
Yes. Just all emotions shut down. Like, it's not like I really got mad at anything in this film, but it's not because, like, it wasn't just awful. It's just solely because, like, yeah, this is exactly as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like, it is nailing that, exactly. And I believe Adam McKay worked on this. Hold on, I'm going to look that up real quick. Which, it's weird if he did, because that means he had 2 films come out on the same day. Because I believe he also did Vice. This thing even has a 26% from the audiences. Do you know how bad you have to be to piss off the audience? Let's see. It was Columbia Pictures, written Ethan Cohen. Not that Ethan Cohen, right? Okay. That's... Not the Coens. Okay. But no, Adam McKay had something to do on this. But I know Adam McKay, he is very politically active. In fact, I believe he's also doing that Vice film. I want to make sure that I'm writing this before I go too far into this. Wow, audiences do not like Vice. Yeah, Adam McKay directed and wrote Vice. Yeah, he is very politically active. And in fact, he put a lot of political messages into The Other Guys. And here's the thing, you guys know me. I'm a big hippie liberal. Like, I make no bones about that. Like, I don't try and hide that at all. Every now and again, I get someone on tour. It's like, hey, I just wanted to check. Are you liberal? And I was like, what the fuck? Have you not been paying attention? And you also know me that I am a fan of people trying to put messages into their films, especially like political messages. If you do it well.
Mm-hmm. That's the important thing. Like,
this movie keeps trying to sneak, like, real tiny, like, political jabs in here, but they're nothing. Like, at all. Like, there's a moment at the beginning of this in which, like, the street kids are going, like, hear ye, read all about it. Moriarty on trial for murder. And this guy looks at the newspaper and he goes, that's fake news. I was like, Is the joke there that when someone says fake news, it's actually a real thing about a bad person and they're not believing the real thing about the bad person? Like, I guess that's a thing. All right, I'll give you half a point on thinking that out, I guess. But then later on, like, there's a gag about Sherlock Holmes trying to, like, find the perfect hat. And he puts on, like, a pimp hat. And then he puts on, like, a cowboy hat. And then he puts on a red fez, and the red fez says, "Make England great again." And I was like, okay, I know what you're referencing. What's the joke? What's your commentary about the red Make America Great Again hats that you're parodying in this? I don't even want to say parody, because parody means that you are making commentary. This is just you acknowledging that that thing exists. What's the joke?
Like, I don't know what the political climate of England was back then, so I don't really have any say.
I'd like to point out that Sherlock Holmes and the Titanic did not exist at the same time.
Yes,
there is no back then on this.
This is like an alternate dimension here.
Oh God, this is the weirdest one. This is the weirdest part of this entire film. The weirdest part. The murderer, which again, I'm just spoiling this whole thing. The murderer is their housekeeper. Who is this lady with a really thick Irish accent. She's dubbed over. She is dubbed over at points. There are moments where her lips are not matching the words coming out of her mouth.
Is that supposed to be like the joke?
No.
Like her Irish accent is so thick that they had to dub her over?
They do make one joke about her Irish accent in which she is threatening Watson, and Watson goes, "I know you're threatening me, but for the love of God, I can't understand what you're saying with that accent." That is the closest I got to like, okay, I guess that's kind of a good line. I guess. I still didn't get a laugh out of me, but I was like, that is the closest I got to anything. Was But no, there are moments where like it is clear. Like her mouth is not moving the way that the words are coming out. Like it's off by a split second. But yeah, it is so just, I couldn't not look at it. And I didn't notice it with anyone else, but it was mostly just with her. And I'm wondering if the actress they got couldn't quite do the Irish accent that they wanted, so they had to get someone else to do it. But at the end of this, she has him tied up on the Titanic, and then she leaves with her gang of people. In her gang of people there, who we have not seen at all in the rest of the film, there's Albert Einstein, Charlie Chaplin, and a couple of other, like, distinctly of the time period personalities. And I just kept looking at it, it's like, Albert Einstein and Charlie Chaplin and Sherlock Holmes and the Titanic were not all at the same time.
It's like, well, they were all back in the olden days, so
they're all before now?
Yes, therefore they're all at the same time period.
You want to have John Travolta walk in, like, to Saturday Night Fever, like, have the Bee Gees playing, you want to have a caveman in the background, like...
Yeah, why not?
This is like that Asylum Sherlock Holmes film where, like, time and space are collapsing and there's a giant robot dinosaur at one point. God, that's a better film than this is. Oh my God, this was just... And here's the thing. All those people that you see her walk off with in that scene never come back. That's their only scene. They have no speaking lines, no nothing. She just walks away. Yes, well, soon the world will think of Sherlock Holmes as the worst detective ever. And she's just surrounded by Albert Einstein and Charlie Chaplin and these for no reason at all. And then they're never seen again. What? Like, I can't even look at that as like a deleted scene. Because if it was a deleted scene, then like we see her like on the boat afterwards and she's just surrounded by like guys in sailor outfits. It's like, why isn't she surrounded by evil Albert Einstein and evil Charlie Chaplin there on the boat? Like, it does not feel like a deleted scene was in here. It feels like they had an idea for a joke, and then they forgot to carry out the joke. It's, what? So yeah, as much as I want to say, you can tell everything that's going to happen in this film, there were still some curveballs in here, because no one could have predicted it. Yeah, who would have known that figures that did not exist at the time of these other characters or locations that we were looking at would suddenly appear in the movie? Yeah, man, it's wow. Yeah, I don't really know what score to give this because it's awful. There is nothing redeemable about this movie.
Maybe give it a 0 because of it?
No. 0 is like poorly shot racist propaganda. And I will say this, the film is not racist. I'll give it that. But here's the thing. It's not like when I saw Slender Man earlier this year, which Slender Man also had like no redeeming qualities, except for one shot that was kind of creepy in there. This film doesn't even have like one shot that I'm like, all right, that's kind of good. So by that logic, it should be worse than Slender Man. But Slender Man made me angry. This one didn't make me angry. Simply because I was like, yeah, I know how bad this is going to be. I'm fully here for I totally understand how garbage this thing is going to be. I understand that this is just absolute shit. I'm here for it. I get it. So I never got angry at this film. So it's weird, like, by all logic, I think I gave Slender Man like a 1.5.
So will you give this one a 1 or a 1.5?
I don't know, because again, by all logic, I should give this like basically the same, because quality-wise, it's almost the same. I mean, it's horribly shot. There's nothing likable in this. It should be like around that same era, like 1.5. But I wasn't mad. And to get to be like a 1 or 1.5, I gotta be fuming. I gotta be mad at you. And I just couldn't be mad at this thing because it's just such a, who gives a shit about this? Who actually like went into this expecting anything? But By the way, we are recording this the night after the Transformer in Queens blew up, and that happened right as I was leaving the theater. And as I was leaving the theater, I was just checking Twitter, and it was nothing but, here's some weird blue lights just appearing all over Queens. And I was like, if this is some kind of an attack, I could die here right now from some kind of a bomb or something. And the last film I saw was Watson and Holmes, or Holmes and Watson, a film that I can't even remember the order the names going on this. And that just sums up my feeling about this film, is that I wasn't mad that could be the last film I saw. It was just complete nihilism. Just complete, yeah. It was like a bad French stereotype, like a cigarette just hanging halfway out my mouth, just like, life. Sometimes you watch shit and then you die. I'm gonna give this a 2 because it is just awful. It is probably the worst made film that I've seen all year, but I just couldn't be mad at. I need to be mad to get lower than a 2.
Yeah, so like between this and Slender Man, which one do you think would be?
It's so weird because I do think Slender Man is. I didn't think I would be saying this at any point this year. I do think Slender Man is a better film than this, but Slender Man made me angry, and it's just like Sherlock Holmes. You can't quite analyze all the facts. Emotions do come into this at some point, and based solely on the facts, this is a worse film. But when you put emotions in there, Slender Man is a worse film because it actually managed to make me angry. But we're going to have to watch Slender Man again because you didn't see it, and we're going to do the Gauntlet of Garbage in January.
And plus, when you watch it again, like maybe you'll start...
Like, I now have a tiebreaker for my worst film of the year. I now have to go into round 2 on this thing. Oh boy. So yeah, that was our look at Watson and Holmes. Holmes and Watson. Farrell and McKay.
Max and Ruby.
What?
That's a cartoon.
I don't know what that is.
Never mind.
Okay. But yeah, that was it. And I got nothing else to give on this, so come back later. We got a review of Mary Poppins coming later this weekend. We're still playing catch up from last weekend. Mm-hmm. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I don't know.
We'll see you on the Titanic. Bye!
Do you think something bad is going to happen to people on the Titanic?
No.
There's Billy Zane.
Hi, Billy Zane.
That's exactly the level of quality that you're going to get in this film. It's all there. So stupid.